The night of my 30th birthday. I blew out the candles in the living room, butter and sugar still sweet on my lips when his fist came down. Mom looked away. Everyone froze like statues. The sparkler candles toppled, flames erupting from the fallen bundle, and I understood if I didn't save myself. No one would. 30 days later, I returned with evidence, court orders, and a plan cold enough to extinguish every flame of violence in this house forever. My name is Eliza Quinn, and I've saved dozens of lives as an EMT with Lakeside Medical Response here in Flagstaff, Arizona. But for 31 years, I couldn't save myself from the man who claimed to be my father. Warren Blake married my mother Darlene when I was 12. Back then, he seemed like salvation, a successful contractor with his own business, Blake Renovations, who swept in with promises and stability. He had a daughter, Brielle, 2 years younger than me. Later, Mom had Cody with him. The perfect blended family, or so the Christmas cards suggested. The pattern started small. Warren would mention how he'd helped with the down payment on my first car when I turned 18. A generous gesture, except he never let me forget it. Every argument, every family gathering, every time I showed the slightest independence, remember who helped you when nobody else would. I'd paid him back 3 years ago. Every cent, with interest. But in Warren's world, debts were eternal, especially mine. The text came while I was cleaning my ambulance after a 12-hour shift. My fingers were still sticky with sanitizer when I read it. Need you to contribute $2 to $800 for Cody's graduation party. Family pulls together. Eliza, or have you forgotten what family means? Cody was graduating from community college with an associate degree in business. Good for him. But when I'd graduated from paramedic school cum laude, while working full-time, my celebration was a store-bought sheet cake and Warren's comment about how some careers are just calling, not real achievements. When Brielle got her online certificate in social media marketing, Warren threw a party that cost $5,000. When I completed my advanced cardiac life support certification, making me one of the most qualified EMTs in northern Arizona, my mother forgot to mention it at Sunday dinner. The doorbell camera at my apartment had been a gift to myself after Warren showed up unannounced one too many times. Just checking on my investment, he'd say, using the spare key he'd copied without asking. The camera caught everything: his attempts to enter when I wasn't home, the way he'd peer through windows, test the door handle. I started keeping records 2 years ago. Every text message screenshot, every receipt, every interaction documented. My friend Naomi Pierce, a paralegal at a downtown firm, had suggested it after I'd shown up to her place at 2 a.m, shaking after Warren had cornered me at a family barbecue, drunk and raging about my ungrateful attitude. Document everything, she'd said, making me tea while I tried to stop my hands from trembling. You never know when you'll need it. The graduation party text was followed by 17 more over the next 3 days, each one escalating. Disappointing. Selfish. After everything we've done. Your mother is heartbroken. Mom never texted herself. She communicated through Warren, her voice filtered through his anger, her love contingent on my compliance. She'd become a ghost of herself, agreeing with whatever he said, looking through me instead of at me. The final text came on a Thursday evening while I was reviewing patient charts. Your birthday dinner is next week. Try not to ruin it with your attitude. And remember, family takes care of family. The $800 would be a nice gesture to show you understand that. My birthday. They remembered it existed only when it served as another opportunity to remind me of my place in the family hierarchy beneath Brielle, beneath Cody, beneath even the dog Warren had bought last year and treated with more affection than he'd ever shown me. I saved that text like all the others, uploading it to the cloud storage Naomi had helped me set up. 3 separate backups, one on my phone, one in the cloud, one on an external drive hidden in my locker at work. Standing in my small apartment kitchen that night, I pulled out the file folder I'd been building, medical records from the urgent care visit 3 months ago when Warren had accidentally shoved me into a doorframe. The police report I'd tried to file before Mom convinced me to withdraw it. The photos of bruises I'd learned to hide under my EMT uniform. Something was building. I could feel it the way I could sense when a patient was about to crash that moment before everything goes wrong. When the monitors still show normal, but your gut knows better. I looked at the birthday invitation on my refrigerator. Next Saturday, 7 o'clock, Mom's handwriting, but Warren's words at the bottom, "Don't disappoint us." I wouldn't disappoint them. I'd show up, just like always. But this time, I was ready for whatever came next. My phone was fully charged, the recording app Naomi had recommended already installed, the camera in my car's dashboard positioned perfectly. If Warren wanted to talk about family taking care of family, I was finally ready to show him exactly what that meant. The house smelled like vanilla frosting and wine when I arrived at 7:15 deliberately late to avoid the pre-dinner interrogation. Mom had outdone herself with a 3-tier cake, white fondant with sugar roses. Sparkler candles jutted from the top like tiny fireworks waiting to explode. "Finally," Warren said from his throne at the head of the dining table. "Thought you might skip your own birthday." Brielle smirked from her seat, thumb scrolling through her phone. Cody didn't look up from his plate. Mom bustled between kitchen and dining room, her movements bird-like, nervous. "Wouldn't miss it," I said, setting my purse strategically on the side table where my phone could record video. The angle would catch most of the room. Dinner was the usual performance. Warren talked about his latest renovation project, some warehouse he was converting for events. Brielle interrupted to discuss her influencer metrics. Cody contributed nothing but chewing sounds. Mom refilled wine glasses with shaking hands. "So, Eliza," Warren said, cutting into his second serving of pot roast, "have you thought about what we discussed about Cody's party?" "I have." I kept my voice steady, professional, the same tone I used with agitated patients. "I can't contribute that amount." His fork stopped midway to his mouth. "Can't or won't. My rent increased, my student loans, your excuses." He set the fork down with deliberate precision. "That's all I ever hear. Excuses. After everything this family has done for you." "Warren." Mom started. "No, Darlene, she needs to hear this." He stood, wine glass in hand, face already flushing red. "Ungrateful, that's what you are. I put a roof over your head for years, helped you get that car, treated you like my own daughter." "You never treated me like Brielle," I said quietly. The room went silent except for the tick of Mom's antique clock. "What did you say?" "You heard me." He moved faster than I expected for a man his size. One moment he was by his chair, the next he was looming over me, wine breath hot on my face. "You want to ruin Cody's moment like you ruin everything." "I'm not ruining anything. I'm just saying." The cake sat between us on the table, sparklers still unlit, waiting for the birthday song that would never come. Mom had started to light them when Warren grabbed her wrist. "No, she doesn't deserve it. Not until she apologizes." "For what?" I stood up, matching his stance. "For being tired of paying for my place in this family. For being done with—" His fist connected with my cheekbone before I could finish. The force spun me sideways, and I grabbed the table for balance. My hand hit the cake plate. The 3 tiers wobbled, tilted, then crashed sideways onto the lace tablecloth soaked with spilled wine. The sparklers scattered across the table. One rolled toward the knocked-over wine bottle, its tip catching the alcohol-soaked fabric. Then another. The flame caught and spread in a line of blue and orange, racing across the tablecloth. "Fire." Cody finally spoke, jumping back from the table. My EMT training kicked in. I grabbed the pitcher of water from the sideboard and doused the worst of it, then yanked the tablecloth away from the wooden table, smothering the remaining flames with a dish towel. Smoke filled the dining room. The smoke detector shrieked. Through the chaos, Warren stood perfectly still, staring at me with those cold eyes. "You ruined everything," he said, each word deliberate. "Look what you did. You ruined everything." My cheek throbbed. Blood trickled from where his wedding ring had caught the skin. The destroyed cake lay in a heap of fondant and char, sugar roses melted into grotesque shapes. Mom pressed herself against the wall, hands over her mouth. Brielle had her phone out recording, of course, but only after the punch, only the part where I looked like the destroyer. The fire, Mom whispered, was caused by Warren knocking over the cake when he hit me, I said clearly, loudly, for my phone and Brielle's to hear. Everyone saw it. Nobody saw anything, Warren said. You're hysterical. You knocked over the cake and nearly burned down my house. Through the window, I saw neighbors gathering on their lawns. Someone had called 911. I could hear sirens approaching. My co-workers would respond to this call. They'd see me, document my injury, write reports. I touched my cheekbone, felt the swelling already starting. I'm going to the hospital. Drama queen, Brielle muttered. You're not going anywhere. Warren stepped toward me again. Yes, I am. I grabbed my purse, my phone still recording. And if you touch me again, it won't be the fire department showing up next time. I left them there in the smoke-filled room with the destroyed cake and the smell of burnt sugar and wine. The fire truck was pulling up as I got to my car. I recognized Tommy from my station, saw his eyes widen when he noticed my face. Eliza, what happened? Kitchen fire, I said. Already out, but can you document everything in there? Everything. He looked at my swelling cheek, at the house, back at me. You need a ride to the ER. I'll drive myself. Just document it all. Tommy, please. In my car, I pulled out my phone and took photos of my face from every angle. Then I drove to the ER, where I knew the triage nurse would photograph everything again, officially, where the doctor would note the distinctive ring-shaped cut, where everything would become part of a record Warren couldn't deny or destroy. My 30th birthday ended in a hospital bed with an ice pack on my face, filling out forms about domestic violence, finally saying yes when they asked if I wanted to file a report. The cake was ruined. The party was over. But for the first time in 19 years, I felt like I could breathe. The locksmith arrived at 8:30, sharp, 2 days after my birthday. My face had bloomed into a purple and yellow map of Warren's rage, but my hands were steady as I signed the work order. Changing all of them, the locksmith asked, eyeing my bruises with practiced discretion. Every single one. Deadbolts, too. While he worked, I dug through my files and found the car loan documents from 13 years ago. Warren's name was on the original paperwork as co-signer. Yes, but I'd refinanced 5 years later, removing him completely. The final payment confirmation from 3 years ago stared back at me, proof that his favorite chain around my neck had been imaginary for years. My phone buzzed. Mom. I let it ring through to voicemail, then played it on speaker while I installed new security cameras. Eliza, sweetie, we need to talk. Warren he's upset about the cake, the mess. Just come by and apologize. He didn't mean it. You know how he gets when he drinks. Please don't make this bigger than it needs to be. I saved the voicemail to 3 different places, then called Naomi. Jesus Christ, Eliza, your face, she said when she arrived an hour later, legal pad in hand. This is it. We're done playing nice. I know. I handed her the folder I'd been building: photos, recordings, medical records, text messages. I need a lawyer. Already texted my boss. Her sister practices family law, Mara Ellison. She's expecting your call. Naomi pulled out her phone, showing me the contact. But first, let's make sure everything is locked down tight. We spent the afternoon turning my apartment into a fortress. New locks with keys only I possessed, cameras covering every angle doorway, parking spot, even one facing the street, motion-activated lights, a video doorbell with cloud storage, every notification sent to my phone and Naomi's as backup. Warren came by my work yesterday, I told her as we tested the 5th camera. He still had my spare key, had made himself a copy without asking. Of course. Of course he did. Controlling bastard. Naomi adjusted the angle of the hallway camera. What about your work? I'm filing an incident report tomorrow. My supervisor already knows hard to miss this face. They're increasing security at the station. My phone rang. Warren this time. I hit record before answering. You think you're smart. His voice was low, dangerous. Filing reports, making me look bad. I'm documenting assault. Warren, what you did. What I did was discipline an ungrateful brat who destroyed her mother's beautiful cake. That's what everyone saw. The fire department has a different story. So does the ER. You listen to me. No, you listen. I'm done. Don't contact me again. I still have receipts for that car, little girl. You owe me. I owe you nothing. I have the loan documents proving I paid it off 3 years ago, without your help. Silence. Then, your mother wants to see you. Mom can call me herself. She's too upset. You've broken her heart with this drama. You broke my cheekbone with your fist. I hung up and immediately backed up the recording. Mara Ellison called an hour later. Her voice was professional steel wrapped in Southern comfort. Naomi sent me everything. I've reviewed the medical records and recordings. We're filing for a restraining order first thing Monday morning. Will it stick? With this evidence, the photos. The fire department report noting the injuries they observed. The 911 call from your neighbor about the disturbance. Honey, we're going to nail him to the wall. That evening, I sat in my secured apartment, ice pack on my face, going through years of bank records. Every payment I'd made on that car, highlighted. Every birthday and Christmas where Warren and Mom gave Brielle and Cody thousands in gifts while I got drugstore perfume, documented. The paper trail of systematic financial abuse, all there in black and white. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, then recognized Cody's new phone. Eliza, Dad says you're trying to ruin our family. Mom cries every night. Please stop this. I stared at the message for a long time. My little brother, 22 years old, still calling Warren Dad while I'd never been allowed that privilege, still blind to the dynamics that had shaped our entire family structure. I typed back carefully. I'm not ruining anything. I'm protecting myself. When you're ready to see the truth, I'll be here. He didn't respond. Later that night, I rewatched the video from my birthday dinner. You could hear the punch clearly, see me spinning, the cake falling. Then Warren's voice, crystal clear. You ruined everything. No, I thought, saving the video to another backup drive. I'm just getting started. My doorbell camera activated at 11:43 p.m. Warren's truck idling at the street. He sat there for 10 minutes, engine running, before finally driving away. The camera caught it all: license plate, timestamp, his face illuminated by streetlights. I forward the footage to Mara Ellison with a simple message. Add stalking to the list. Her reply came immediately despite the late hour. Already on it. Keep those cameras rolling. I triple-checked my locks, tested each camera again, and finally went to bed with pepper spray on my nightstand and my phone charging within reach. For the first time since I was 12 years old, Warren Blake couldn't get to me. The bruises would fade, but the evidence would last forever. The Ponderosa Depot sat on the outskirts of Flagstaff, a hulking warehouse Warren had been converting for the past 6 months. I'd driven by it countless times, never paying attention until Tommy from the fire department mentioned something over coffee. Your stepdad's place doesn't have proper permits, he said quietly, sliding a folder across the break room table. Thought you should know, given everything. Inside were inspection notices, warnings, and a cease and desist order that had somehow been resolved without actual compliance. Warren had been hosting events there, corporate parties, wedding receptions in a space that violated at least a dozen fire codes. The sparklers, I said, remembering every family gathering. He always insists on sparkler candles, even indoors. In a warehouse with improper ventilation and no fire suppression system. Tommy shook his head. That's a disaster waiting to happen. That evening, I met with Naomi and Mara at a coffee shop downtown. Mara had already filed the restraining order petition, But this new information changed everything. Public records are beautiful things, Mara said, pulling up the city planning database on her laptop. Blake Renovations has 3 active projects, all with violations. But this warehouse? This is criminal negligence. The screen showed violation after violation, no certificate of occupancy for public gatherings, electrical work done without permits, emergency exits blocked or non-functional, and then, buried in an insurance claim from 8 months ago, a small fire during a corporate event, blamed on catering equipment malfunction. He claimed $30,000 in damages. Naomi whistled. For a $500 scorched wall. Insurance fraud. Mara typed notes rapidly. Add it to the list. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through family photos I'd never deleted. Look, here's Brielle's birthday last year. Inside the warehouse. See the sparklers on the cake. And here, I swiped. Cody's graduation announcement. They're planning his party there next month. With sparklers. No doubt, Mara said. We need to notify the fire marshal immediately. I spent the next 3 days playing detective. Public records revealed Warren had been cutting corners for years. Former employees found through careful social media searching shared stories over hushed phone calls. Marcus, a former electrician, was particularly revealing. He had me run extension cords as permanent wiring. Marcus told me, voice nervous but angry. When I refused, said it was dangerous, he fired me, told everyone I was incompetent. Would you be willing to make a statement? After what he did to you? Yeah, I would. The affidavits piled up. The plumber who'd been asked to bypass code requirements. The carpenter who'd been told to use substandard materials while billing for premium ones. Each person too scared to speak up alone, but willing to join a chorus. Meanwhile, I filed formal complaints with 3 agencies, the Fire Marshal's Office complaint, DAR FD 2024-8847, the Building Department case, EBD 2024-3221, and the Insurance Fraud Division reference, IF 2024-99903A, each complaint meticulously documented, with photos, dates, and witness contact information. Warren's response came through Mom. Naturally. She showed up at my work during shift change, ensuring maximum witnesses to her tears. How could you? She wailed in the parking lot, trying to destroy his business, his reputation. You're vindictive, Eliza. Vindictive and cruel. He hit me, Mom. You provoked him. You always provoke him. I saw my co-workers watching, phones probably recording. Good. Let them document this too. I'm done having this conversation. Please leave. He's talking about suing you for defamation, for harassment. You're going to lose everything. Let him try. She left in a flurry of tears and accusations, but not before revealing something useful. The party's in 2 weeks, Cody's graduation, and you're not invited. Warren's hiring security to keep you out. 2 weeks. A party in an illegal venue with sparkler candles and jury-rigged electrical. I forwarded this information to the fire marshal with a simple note, anticipated date of next violation. That night, I received an email from the Insurance Fraud Division. They'd opened a formal investigation into Blake Renovations. Case number IF 2024-9903A. They'd be particularly interested, they noted, in the discrepancy between claimed damages and actual repairs at the Ponderosa Depot. My phone buzzed. Brielle's Instagram story, a video of Warren at the warehouse, setting up for an event. Sparkler candles visible in boxes behind him. The caption, Dad worked so hard, can't wait for Cody's big party. I screenshot everything, adding it to my ever-growing evidence folder. Then I noticed something in the background of her video, the emergency exit doors, chained shut from the inside. I called the fire marshal's emergency line immediately. I need to report an imminent safety hazard at the Ponderosa Depot. The owner is actively violating a cease and desist order, and there's video evidence of blocked emergency exits. We'll send an inspector first thing tomorrow morning. There's an event tonight. I can see cars in the parking lot in the Instagram story. Tonight we'll dispatch someone immediately. I sat back, ice pack on my still tender cheek, and pulled up the building department's website. Warren's contractor license was up for renewal next month. With 3 active investigations and multiple violations, that renewal would be impossible. My phone rang. Warren. You think you're clever? He was drunk, slurring slightly, calling inspectors on me. I don't know what you're talking about. Bullshit. This is you. All you. Like the bruise on my face is all you. You're going to regret this. Your mother, your brother, they'll never speak to you again. They barely speak to me now. Warren, what's the difference? The difference is, after I'm done with you, you'll have nothing. No family. No Warren. A different voice in the background. Fire marshals here. They're shutting us down. The line went dead. I smiled for the first time in 2 weeks. The pounding on my door started at 2:17 a.m. 5 days after the fire marshal shut down Warren's event. I didn't move from my bed, just watched the doorbell camera feed on my phone as Warren's face filled the screen, contorted with rage. Open up, you lying bitch! His fists hammered the door. You cost me $50,000. The Hendersons are suing because their anniversary party got canceled. I hit record, saving everything to the cloud. The timestamp, his threats, the way he tried the door handle repeatedly despite having no key anymore. I know you're in there. Your car's right there, face me like an adult. My neighbor's door opened. Mr. Chin, 80 years old and tough as nails, stepped into the hallway. I'm calling the police. Mind your business, old man. Threatening young women at 2 a.m. is my business. Warren turned back to my door. This isn't over. You think you won your mother sick because of you. Literally sick. Can't eat. Can't sleep. You did that. The police arrived 12 minutes later. I watched through the camera as Warren argued, claimed he was just checking on me, worried about my mental state. The officers weren't buying it, especially when I sent them the doorbell footage and the restraining order petition still pending in court. They let him go with a warning, but I had everything documented. The next morning, Brielle's social media assault began. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Suddenly, I was everywhere, painted as the jealous daughter who couldn't stand her family's success. She posted old photos with captions like, "Some people can't handle others' happiness," and, "When bitter relatives try to destroy your dad's honest business." The comments were worse. People I'd never met calling me vindictive, suggesting I needed therapy, accusing me of fabricating abuse for attention. Someone found my workplace and posted the address. "Don't engage," Mara advised over the phone. "Screenshot everything. This is harassment, and it strengthens our case." But Warren wasn't done. 3 days later, I received a certified letter from his lawyer, a cease and desist claiming I was defaming him, interfering with his business, and causing emotional distress. The letter demanded I withdraw all complaints and pay him $75,000 in damages. "Let me guess," Naomi said, reading it over lunch. His lawyer is some golf buddy who owes him favors. Bradley Morrison. I confirmed. They renovated his office last year. This is garbage, scare tactics. She took photos of every page. Mara's going to have a field day with this. That afternoon, my supervisor called me into her office. "Eliza, someone called claiming to be a concerned citizen, said you're unstable, vindictive, that we should drug test you immediately." Warren. The caller ID showed Blake Renovations. She slid a paper across the desk. I documented everything. Also, HR wants to implement a safety plan. No one gets information about your schedule, and security will walk you to your car after shifts. Mom's campaign was subtler but worse. She called my few remaining extended family members, spinning tales of my cruelty, my jealousy, how I was destroying the family over a misunderstanding. My Aunt Beth called me crying. "Your mother says you're having some kind of breakdown. That you're making things up about Warren, trying to ruin him because he loved Cody more." Aunt Beth, I have medical records, photos, police reports. She says you faked those, hurt yourself for attention. I hung up. There was no point arguing with Warren's narrative delivered through my mother's tears. The restraining order hearing was set for the following Monday. Warren hired a real lawyer this time, not Bradley Morrison, but someone competent who'd probably cost him a fortune. They filed a counter-petition claiming I was the aggressor, that I'd destroyed property the cake, committed arson the sparklers, and was now stalking him through false reports. It's desperation, Mara assured me. But we need to be prepared. They'll try to paint you as unstable. That weekend, I worked a double shift to keep my mind busy. Coming back to my car at 11 p.m., I found all 4 tires slashed. Security footage showed a figure in a hoodie, face obscured, but the build was unmistakably Warren's. Can we prove it? I asked the responding officer. Not definitively, but it's another report, another incident on record. I had the car towed, got a rental, and installed a dash cam that night. Sunday morning. Mom left a voicemail. The restraining order hearing is tomorrow. Please drop this. Warren's willing to forgive everything if you just apologize and withdraw the complaints. Cody's graduation party is coming up. Don't ruin this for your brother. Haven't you done enough damage? I played it for Mara, who added it to our evidence file. She's trying to guilt you into backing down. It won't work. Good, because I have news. Mara pulled up her laptop. The insurance fraud division contacted me. They found evidence Warren filed 3 suspicious claims in the past 5 years, all for fires at events. They're opening a criminal investigation. Criminal. Insurance fraud over $50,000 is a felony in Arizona. Warren's looking at potential jail time. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number, but I recognized the writing style immediately. Warren, using a burner phone. You think you've won. I've survived worse than you. Your restraining order means nothing. Your complaints mean nothing. You mean nothing. And after tomorrow, everyone will see what you really are. I screenshotted it, forwarded it to Mara, and added it to my cloud backup. See you in court, Warren, I whispered to the screen. Tomorrow would be the beginning of the end, but not the way he expected. The judge granted my temporary restraining order on Monday morning, but with modifications that left Warren smirking. He couldn't come within 100 feet of my home or work, but family events were exempt if I was given 48 hours' notice. His lawyer had argued successfully that I shouldn't be able to weaponize the court to destroy family bonds. Don't worry, Mara whispered as Warren strutted out. This is temporary. We'll get a permanent one soon. That afternoon, Brielle posted the official invitation to Cody's graduation party on every social media platform. Ponderosa Depot grand reopening and Cody's graduation celebration 2 weeks away. Come see how we rise above the haters. The comments flooded in support for Warren, excitement about the venue, and more than a few jabs at the bitter family member trying to ruin everything. But I noticed something else in the announcement, featuring our signature sparkler send-off and indoor fireworks display. Indoor fireworks. In a warehouse with known fire code violations. I called Tommy immediately. Are you seeing this? Already on it. The fire marshal's planning an inspection that day. But Eliza, there's something else. Warren filed permits last week claiming he fixed everything, hired some cut-rate contractor to sign off on the work. Let me guess the contractor owes him money. Bingo. But here's the interesting part. The insurance company called our department. They're sending their own investigator to the party. Apparently, Warren filed a claim for the birthday party incident at your mom's house. Claimed extensive smoke damage. The birthday party where he punched me. The very same. Claimed $40,000 in damages for a tablecloth fire that burned for 30 seconds. I forwarded everything to Mara and the insurance fraud division investigator, Agent Patricia Reeves, who'd contacted me the previous week. Her response was immediate. This is extremely helpful. We'll have undercover presence at the event. Over the next 10 days, I watched Warren's desperate scramble through social media and public records. He was pulling permits he'd ignored for years, hiring contractors at premium rates for rush jobs, trying to make the warehouse legitimate, but you can't fix years of violations in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, I prepared meticulously. I created a comprehensive timeline document every incident, every threat, every violation, with supporting evidence indexed and organized. 37 pages of proof that Warren Blake was not just an abuser, but a criminal. 3 days before the party, Naomi helped me set up something crucial. "It's not entrapment," she assured me as we tested the new cameras in my car. "You're not encouraging him to do anything illegal. You're just documenting what he does naturally. And if he approaches me at the party, you're not going to the party." Right. I lied. The morning of Cody's graduation party dawned clear and warm. I worked my regular shift, keeping busy, ignoring the anxiety gnawing at my stomach. At 3 p.m., I got a text from an unknown number, a photo of the Ponderosa Depot decorated with balloons and banners. "Wish you could be here. Brielle's handiwork." No doubt. At 4 p.m., Agent Reeves called. "We have 3 investigators attending as guests. The fire marshal has someone there too. Whatever happens, don't intervene. Let us handle it." "I'm working until 6 anyway," I said, which was technically true. At 5:45 p.m., I clocked out and sat in my car, watching the live stream Brielle was broadcasting. The warehouse looked almost professional. New exit signs, fire extinguishers visible on walls. But I knew Warren's shortcuts. Those exit signs probably weren't connected to power. Those extinguishers were likely expired or empty. The party was in full swing by 6:30 p.m. I could see it all through social media: the catered dinner, the open bar, Warren holding court in a new suit, telling stories about overcoming adversity. Mom hovering near him, her smile never reaching her eyes. Cody looking uncomfortable in the spotlight. At 7:15 p.m., Brielle announced the cake ceremony. "Time for our famous sparkler celebration." She squealed into the camera. They wheeled out a massive 5-tier cake covered in at least 50 sparkler candles. In the background, I spotted boxes labeled "Indoor Fountain Fireworks Professional Use Only." My phone rang. "Tommy, you watching this?" "Yeah." "Our inspector just texted. Those aren't just sparklers. They're industrial-grade pyrotechnics. No way they have permits for those. He's calling it in now." At 7:23 p.m., someone lit the sparklers, all 50 at once. The live stream showed them burning beautiful and bright, too bright, sparks flying higher than they should. Then someone activated the fountain fireworks along the back wall, brilliant white cascades of light that would have been stunning outdoors. But this was inside a warehouse with improper ventilation. The smoke built fast. The fire alarm, if it was even functional, didn't sound. People started coughing, looking concerned. Warren grabbed a microphone, shouting that everything was fine. Just a little smoke. Keep celebrating. That's when the sparklers, burning too hot, ignited the tablecloth. The same brand of polyester tablecloth from my birthday, bought in bulk because Warren got a deal. The live stream cut off, but I didn't need to see more. I could hear the sirens from my position 2 blocks away. Fire trucks, ambulances, police cars all racing toward the Ponderosa Depot. I pulled up the document I'd prepared, the one Mara had reviewed and approved, and sent it to every guest whose email I could find, to local news stations, to the state contractors board. Timeline of safety violations at Ponderosa Depot Public Safety Alert. 37 pages of truth. Delivered while Warren's illegal party burned with the exact same inevitable fire he'd blamed on me 3 weeks ago. My phone exploded with notifications, but I ignored them all. I had one more stop to make: the police station, where I would file additional charges based on the threats and harassment from the past 3 weeks, complete with my carefully compiled evidence. Warren wanted a grand reopening. He was about to get a very different kind of finale. The warehouse reeked of smoke and spilled champagne when I arrived at 8:45 p.m., my lawyer beside me, Naomi at my back. The parking lot was chaos: fire trucks, ambulances, police cars, their lights painting everything in alternating red and blue. Guests stood in clusters, some still coughing, their party clothes stained with soot. Warren saw me first. He stood near the entrance arguing with the fire chief, his new suit ruined, his face the color of raw beef. "You." He started toward me, but a police officer stepped between us. "Sir, stay back." She did this. She sabotaged my party. "I just got here," I said calmly, holding up my work badge. been at Lakeside Medical until 8:30 p.m. Check the time clock. The fire chief turned to me. Ma'am, are you Eliza Quinn? Yes. We received your safety documentation about this venue. It was very thorough. Warren's face went from red to purple. You sent them here. You ruined everything. Cody's graduation. Is that what you said at my birthday? I pulled out my phone, the video already cued. Should I play the recording, the one where you hit me right before starting a fire with sparklers? The music from inside had stopped, but the industrial fans the fire department brought in were roaring, trying to clear smoke. Through the open doors, I could see the destroyed remains of the party overturned tables. The massive cake a melted disaster, scorch marks on the walls where the fountain fireworks had burned too hot. Agent Reeves appeared at my elbow, her investigator's badge visible. Mr. Blake, I'm with the Insurance Fraud Division. We need to discuss your recent claims. I want a lawyer. That's your right. But right now, this is just about documentation. She held up a tablet. You filed a $40,000 claim for smoke damage from a residential kitchen fire, yet here we are at another event you're hosting, with another fire, using the same illegal pyrotechnics. Brielle pushed through the crowd, mascara streaming. This is your fault. She shoved her phone in my face. Look what you've done. The live stream has 50,000 views of our party literally burning. 50,000 witnesses to your father's negligence, Mara said smoothly. That's helpful. The fire marshal emerged from the warehouse with his inspector and 2 police officers. Warren Blake. Warren straightened his ruined tie. Yes. You're under arrest for criminal negligence, violating a cease and desist order, and operating an illegal venue. You have the right to remain silent. This is insane! Warren tried to pull away as they cuffed him. It was just sparklers. Everyone uses sparklers. Industrial pyrotechnics, the fire marshal corrected. In a building with blocked exits, no sprinkler system, and fraudulent permits. 3 people are being treated for smoke inhalation. Mom finally appeared, looking like a ghost. Eliza, how could I, what report crimes document abuse, refuse to be a punching bag? He's going to lose everything, his business, his reputation. He did that himself. She slapped me, quick and sharp across my healing cheek. The crowd gasped. 3 phones captured it. Ma'am, the police officer holding Warren said, do you want to add assault to tonight's charges? I touched my face, feeling the sting, looking at my mother, this woman who'd chosen Warren over me for 19 years. Yes, I do. They cuffed her too. Mom's tears turned to wails as reality hit. Warren was shouting about lawsuits, about knowing people, about destroying me. Cody stood frozen by his car, staring at the handcuffs on our parents. Eliza, he said quietly when I approached. Was it really that bad all these years? I showed him my phone photos of bruises, medical records, recordings of threats. Every family gathering, every celebration. Every time I didn't show enough gratitude. He scrolled through, his face crumbling. I never saw. Because you weren't supposed to. Golden children never see the scapegoat's bruises. The fire marshal was directing his team to seal the building. Yellow tape went up across all entrances. A condemned notice was being prepared. The Ponderosa Depot was officially dead. Brielle had moved from recording to ranting, telling anyone who'd listen that I was jealous, vindictive, that I'd planned this. But the investigators weren't interested in her theories. They were photographing evidence, documenting violations, building the case that would bury Warren's business forever. Ms. Quinn, a reporter appeared with a cameraman. Channel 12 News, we received your safety documentation. Can you comment on tonight's events? I looked directly into the camera, my voice steady despite everything. For 19 years, Warren Blake has run his business and his family through intimidation and violence. Tonight, his own negligence caught up with him. I documented everything not for revenge, but for justice. and to warn others who might hire Blake Renovations. This is how he operates. "You're lying," Warren screamed from the police car. "You're a lying vindictive." The officer shut the door, cutting him off. Agent Reeves approached with papers. "Ms. Quinn, based on tonight's evidence and our investigation, we're filing formal fraud charges. 3 separate incidents, over $200,000 in false claims. He's looking at serious prison time." I watched the police cars pull away with Warren and my mother in separate vehicles. The party guests were dispersing, some shooting me dirty looks, others nodding with what looked like understanding. The warehouse stood dark and empty, smoke still drifting from its doors. "What now?" Naomi asked. "Now we let the system work," Mara said. "Criminal charges, insurance fraud, contractor's license revocation. Warren Blake is finished." But I knew it wasn't quite over. There would be trials, testimony, family fallout. Warren would make bail, probably tomorrow. He'd rage and threaten and try to intimidate. But for tonight, as I stood in the ruins of his grand reopening, watching his empire burn with the same inevitability as those sparkler candles, I felt something I hadn't experienced in 19 years. Freedom. The courtroom was packed at 9 a.m. sharp, 3 weeks after the warehouse disaster. Warren sat at the defendant's table in an ill-fitting suit, his lawyer looking exhausted. Mom was there too. Separate charges, separate lawyer, but the same defeated slump to her shoulders. I sat in the witness section with my evidence boxes organized, labeled, irrefutable. Agent Reeves was 2 rows behind me. The fire marshal sat across the aisle. Tommy and 3 other firefighters were ready to testify. Even Marcus, the electrician Warren had fired, showed up. "All rise for Judge Catherine Morrison." No relation to Warren's golf buddy. This judge had a reputation for zero tolerance on safety violations and domestic violence. Warren's lawyer tried everything claiming entrapment, arguing the fire was accidental, suggesting I'd orchestrated everything out of spite. But evidence doesn't lie. The video of him punching me played on the courtroom screen. The fire marshal presented photos of blocked exits, illegal wiring, the boxes of industrial pyrotechnics. Agent Reeves detailed 3 fraudulent insurance claims totaling $217,000. When I took the stand, Warren couldn't stop glaring. I held up photo after photo bruises, medical records, text threats. I played recording after recording of his rage, his demands, his "you ruined everything" mantra. "Ms. Quinn," the prosecutor asked, "why didn't you report this sooner?" "Because family violence hides behind closed doors and guilted silence. Because I was told I owed him for a car loan I'd already repaid. Because my mother chose him over my safety every single time." Mom sobbed. Warren's jaw clenched so tight I thought it might shatter. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts: insurance fraud, criminal negligence, assault, violating protective orders, operating an illegal venue. Warren's contractor license was revoked on the spot. The judge sentenced him to 4 years in state prison, with no possibility of early release for the first 18 months. Mom got probation and community service for assault, plus mandatory counseling. She looked at me as they led Warren away in handcuffs, and for the first time in 19 years, I saw clarity in her eyes, like she was finally waking up from a long, terrible dream. Brielle screamed that I'd destroyed their family. Cody said nothing, just walked out looking lost. The news cameras caught it all. Outside the courthouse, Mara shook my hand. "You did it. You survived, documented, and won." "What about the civil suit?" I asked. "Warren's assets are being liquidated to pay fraud penalties. Blake Renovations is dead. The warehouse is condemned, being demolished next month. There's nothing left to sue for." That evening, I sat in my secure apartment, watching the news coverage. Local contractor sentenced to prison for fraud and assault. Warren's mugshot filled the screen, no more confident smirk, just a broken man who'd finally faced consequences. My phone buzzed, a text from Cody. "I'm sorry for everything I didn't see, everything I didn't stop." Can we talk sometime? When you're ready, I replied. 3 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, then recognized the area code, the state prison. You think you've won. Warren's voice was smaller now, contained by concrete walls and iron bars. I don't think, Warren, I know. Your mother will never forgive you. That's her choice, just like violence was yours. You ruined. I hung up and blocked the number. He couldn't hurt me anymore. 6 months later, I stood in the demolition crowd as the Ponderosa Depot came down. The building collapsed in a cloud of dust, taking with it years of violations, fraudulent insurance claims, and the sight of Warren's final downfall. Some people cheered. I just watched, feeling the weight of 19 years finally lifting completely. Mom tried to reconcile after her counseling. She showed up at my door with banana bread and apologies, tears and promises of change. I listened, but I wasn't ready. Maybe someday, maybe never. Healing doesn't follow anyone else's timeline. Cody started visiting monthly, slowly learning to see past the golden child blindness. Brielle never spoke to me again, but her social media went silent after the trial. No more performances of perfect family life. A year after that birthday night when his fist connected with my cheek and the sparklers set everything ablaze, I was promoted to senior EMT supervisor. I bought a house with a security system I'd never need to use against family. I slept through the night without checking locks. At my 31st birthday, a quiet dinner with Naomi and real friends, someone lit candles on a small cake. Regular candles, no sparklers. As I blew them out, nobody hit me. Nobody screamed that I'd ruined everything. Nobody made me pay for existing in my own family. I looked at the smoke curling up from the extinguished candles and smiled. "What did you wish for?" Naomi asked. "Nothing," I said. "I already have everything I need." The truth had set me free, and the only flames left were the ones on birthday candles I could blow out in peace. Warren was right about one thing. Family takes care of family. He just never understood that sometimes. Taking care of your family means stopping them from hurting anyone else ever again. I looked directly at the small camera I'd set up to record this birthday, not for evidence this time, but for memories worth keeping. Family isn't about blood or obligation or manufactured guilt. It's about safety, respect, and choosing love over control. And if someone tells you that you've ruined everything, I raised my juice glass to the camera. Maybe you've just finally said it right. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Your experiences and perspectives matter, and this community is stronger when we support each other.